Welcome, reading one. Welcome to this full moon in Aries reading. Whenever you watch this, always timeless, but I like to take note of where we are when these are taking place. So it is not only a full moon, but it's also the first of 3 supermoons for the end of the year. In real time, it's October 6th, 2025. It's also a 7-day. Spirit just told me. That's interesting. I've been feeling sevens or seeing sevens while I was setting this up. I wonder if that's going to have anything to do with your reading. So buckle in, get yourself something to eat, something to drink, or just relax, whatever you need. As you can see, there's a lot of magic here. Look at this. I have to show you both sides of it. Like, look at that. When I go down a little darker, I love it so much. You know, it's so interesting. I was doing a completely different setup, and then I realized I hadn't called upon the decks yet. And so when I was putting it together, I realized, oh my gosh, this is what I'm missing. And the second I pulled this deck out, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so perfect. And I think because we just did a big reading, and I'll put a link in the description box if you haven't seen it, but we just did the last few picker readings. Ooh, throat chakra I'm hearing, because I felt super good and clear, and drank some water before I started this. So speak your truth, work on your throat chakra. That's first and foremost. And I'm hearing open your ears and open your heart to these messages, because they are especially created and crafted just for you. Okay. But no, seriously, I was getting a lot of different energies when I was putting your reading together. And I realized, like, oh, I think this is going to be like a blanket one, you know, meaning like, what do you hear? What do you need to hear right now? Like, what are your spirit guides trying to tell you right now? I do feel like they want me to shift this a little bit, and we're going to go down a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to shut the window. I did a smudging before we started, and I could feel some kind of dark energies trying to make their way in here. And it wasn't just your reading, it was all of them, right? Because that's what's happening right now with the shadow. Like, they, you know, they're trying their best from every angle. They are trying their best to win, to rule. It's become, you know, control and greed has become almost like a disease. And so many of us now can see it, and we're like, it's one thing to watch it on TV or read in a book, but we're like, yeah, I don't really want to live this. Like, our ancestors already lived through this. No, not on our watch. We're not going to let this happen. And it's really empowering, and it's exciting. If you haven't noticed, for those of you who are living in any type of fear bubble, because your theme is ain't no mountain high enough, right? Ain't no mountain high enough, right? Ain't no valley low enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. And Spirit's like saying to you, that's them talking to you. They're always going to find you. They're always going to protect you. They're always going to look out for you. I've been getting this message so much lately. They really want us to believe that. And it's true. The more we believe it, the more it's happening. Also, when I looked up, I saw 338. So that is your angel number to work with, 338. It's also, if you add them together, it's the number 5. And 5s are about change and transformation. So in front of you, we have 2 cards. We have that awesome saying that says crafted and curated for the, what does it say? Does that say overactive? Oh, creative spirit. I thought so. I've had this piece of paper. I cut it out. You know what I mean? Like, I've had this forever, and I was about to just say that. And then they said, no. So somebody, I'm hearing captive spirit. It's like your higher self is telling you there's no mountain high enough. Like, we got you. Like, you got this. Like, all is well, all is well as well. Like, you know. But then there's this other side of you that's like drowning in the 3rd dimensional energy, and they're trying to explain to you that it's you are the change. You're the change that you wish to see in the world. It's through your love and your compassion and your understanding that you will become the better version of you and become the being that you were brought here to be. I'll also put in the description box the last, as of this moment, the last episode of The Poetic Prophet was about addictions, navigating addictions with unconditional love. And that's been a really difficult one for all of us, because even on addictions, we put labels, like, well, at least they don't have this addiction, or at least they're, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but an addiction is an addiction is an addiction. If it drives you, if it's driving somebody that you love, if it's destroying people that you love, it doesn't matter what it is. Because the root of all evil, so to speak, the root of all addictions, and it's not evil, right? But it's spun in that way of that shadow and that darkness, because that's where it's created. Addictions aren't created out of something, it's like, in my experience, I mean, obviously every addiction is different, but in my experience, they kind of fall into two categories. Either it's something that is based in some type of trauma, and the trauma is different for everybody, right? So a child can be traumatized when someone takes their teddy bear away. But if you're an adult and you took your teddy bear, you'd probably laugh and be like, dude, give me my teddy bear. You know what I mean? Or trauma, somebody dies in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, it's very different, but depending on who you are and where you are, trauma is trauma. Or the other side of addiction, where you feel something, some type of euphoria, some type of yummy, delicious, like out of this world energy, and you want to keep feeling that energy. You want to feel that high, so you chase the dragon, so to speak, right? So when those things happen, they're just forms of control, and it's about taking our power back from that control. So I'm doing a series on addiction. I actually already recorded some other podcast prophets about addiction. I don't know when they're going to have me put them out. There's actually one that's like an hour and 40 minutes long, and I thought they were going to have me break it down into like 2 or 3 episodes, but so far they're keeping it close knit. So I keep saying, do I'm going to delete it? Was it just for me? Sometimes they're just for me therapy, and they're like, no. So I'm speaking all of this to you because maybe this is something you're dealing with, whether it's your own addiction or someone else's addiction. And the addiction could be anything, meaning like you could be addicted to the way that somebody makes you feel, even if it's negative. But maybe you don't realize that it's negative because you've been around them so long, like a parent or a family member that's older than you, people around you that are older than you, and you've known them since birth, right? You only know them that way. They only know you one way. But there's a different part of you. There's something else, something special, something that only you hold. But in order to get to that, we have to get over this hurdle. I just literally saw like a track meet and like somebody going over hurdles. So let's get to your card, because my eyes keep going to it. Actually, you know what? So the card to the right that says Miracles Now, I don't know if they're going to have me flip that over or if it's just an inspiration for you. But the one in the middle is your message you need to hear right now. Okay. Ooh, financial freedom. Wonderful. You're on your way to financial freedom. I actually feel like this wants to go here. Yeah, like they want you to see it. And your financial freedom lies in whatever it is that your creative spirit wants to make. Like for some of you who aren't making the money you want to make, or you're not in the job you want to do, spirit is saying, oh, I just got the chills. And it's like literally all over my body right now. And they're saying, oh, turn the other one. So turn the other one over, turn the other one. I'm like, okay. Oh, I trust that my gut reaction is the truth underneath the surface of my fears. That is interesting. Where do you want this one to go? I feel like they want it to go a specific place. Is it here? I knew they had me put that there for a reason. Sometimes I don't always know either, right? Like, I just do what they tell me. I go with the flow of spirit. And they also had me tilt the financial freedom card towards the light, towards the flame. Because for a lot of you, I mean, you guys, right here, over here is a bay leaf. And I thought they wanted me just to burn it, and And they were like, no, 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 no. So I had to like go on a hunt for this and the gut reaction is the truth, because I have this book, which is the OG original of Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Okay, I have that, but I also have their like another version, or like a more modern version that they created and added more stuff to. And that was the book, the more modern one. It was actually gifted to us by one of our tribe members. Thank you, Anna. And that is really powerful, because I was looking for the meaning of bay leaf. My eyes went to that book first, and I thought, oh, maybe they have something, it's got a different, translation, or, a different message. Never think anything of it. But those were in there, and they led me to like all of these different things. But also the part of the book where I got them was in healing. Oh, that's what it was. It was chapter 7. That's right. It was chapter 7, healing. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, this is called the Self-Care Oracle. And for you to make the money that you want to make, whenever you watch this, it's timeless, so you can still do it. But if you're watching this anytime within, 48 hours of the full moon, they had me do it this morning, so I'm quite sure they'll probably have me post it soon, after it's uploaded and, all that. But I'm getting this vibe from Spirit that, when you wish upon a star, what do you want to do? What makes you want to get up and participate in the day? What do you love? That's where your financial freedom lies. And also, I was trying to cover up down here, just because, not that I didn't, I just didn't want to distract from your reading. So I built some crystals around it, right? Like to take that. And they were like, no, 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 no. And it says, let the Self-Care Oracle deck guide you to mindful peace. Now let's get to the bay, because I don't know why, but they're having me show you this. Here's the picture, by the way, that's on the other side of it. Now, if you want, you can take a screenshot, because I know it's sideways. You can take a screenshot and look at it, because maybe there's some scrying in there for you. I feel like I want to do this, though. There we go. Oh, yeah. So there could be some scrying in here for you guys, because I kept wanting to pull the crystal ball in, and they told me not to. Okay, so take a screenshot of that, and then you can, flip it upright like this so you can scroll. But this is what was on, that's what's on the other side of your bay leaf. So here we go. Now, they have all these energies that align with the bay leaf, right? And bay leaves are used in a lot of witchcraft spells. They're also used, I'm about to read it. Let me read it to you. So the gender, right? The gender of the plant is masculine. The ruling planet is the sun, which is interesting because we're in a full moon reading right now. The element is fire, but we are a full moon in Aries. Aries. The deities are Asclepius, Aesculapius, Apollo, Ceres, Phanos, and Eros. Eros is about love too. I mean, I'm sure all of them, I could go into all of the, gods and all that. But okay, so the powers are protection, psychic powers, healing, purification, and strength. And I feel like you need these key words, so you may even want to write them down. Protection, psychic powers, healing, purification, and strength. And isn't that funny that I found your other pieces in the other volume of this book, the second volume of this book, in the 7th chapter of healing. And 7 is about cycles, so it could be that maybe you're in a cycle that's about to come to an end, and they're like, keep your eye on the prize, put your money in your piggy bank. Like, if you're not going to be, because I'm also feeling like for some of you, something's going to flip, a switch is going to flip. Trust me, this has happened to me a lot over the several months. Okay, once I pulled myself away, once my familiar passed away and my partner and I weren't living together anymore, I've had 8 months to really go through the grieving process and, work with all of the energies that were holding me back, And I'll tell you something, it has been so amazing and so healing. And I can feel like everything's starting to shift. And I feel like it's the same for you. Like everything is starting to shift, and you probably feel it already. So I'm hearing, go with the flow of the shift. It's about your creative spirit, crafted and curated for the creative spirit. So there's something that you're meant to craft, create. It could be anything from a tincture to making drums to, you know, whatever it is. Maybe the more we read, you'll get some more signs too. Okay, so protection, psychic powers, healing, purification, and strength. You're going to need all the strength that you can muster to get you through this, but you will get through this. The ritual uses are: the ancient priestess of Apollo chewed bay leaves to induce a prophetic state and also inhaled their fumes. Bay leaves are used as decorations at Yule. That's so interesting too, because I really wanted to burn it. And as you see, like, I'll show you, it doesn't really stay. Now, mind you, these are pretty freshly, oh, look at that. They're burning for you. Ooh, what's going on? Somebody's not listening to their intuition. Wow, I could barely get this to light earlier. Holy shit balls, you guys. What the fuck? That's how fucking powerful you are. And again, scrying. What's going on? Ooh, I see animals. I see a lot of things. And that. Okay, so that's powerful. That is powerful. And the fact that this one flew, and now that one just went sideways. Yes, you're going to have to change. And you're like, what? They're like, you already know. Stop asking questions to things that you already know, Spirit said. And that's not them being a dick to you. They're just saying, like, I just got the chills. They're just giving you tough love. That they're like, you know what you have to fucking do. Like, and for some of you, maybe you've been getting the same messages over and over. And it's like, you can listen to every reading. You can pull all the cards in the world, but you're not going to get the message that you want. And remember that sometimes things are just temporary. But if you don't let go of the past and let go of that old energy and move forward, you're going to keep staying in this loop. And they're really trying to help you get out of it, because we need you. If anything else, like, fight for the collective, you know? If you're having a hard time fighting for you, fight for the collective. And for the Northern Hemisphere, this is, and especially this group, right? We love this time of year. From the witchy, you know, fun, you know, ancestral ghoulies of the you know, October, through, you know, gratitude and fun energies in November. And then, you know, December, we've got Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, and, you know, we can name so many others, right? Solstice, the pagan holidays, Yule. So this is the time to really build yourself up and use this energy, because then when January rolls around, it's like, you know, you'll be ready for like a new year and putting your focus somewhere else, because we're also going into the year of the horse in February. And right now we're in the year of the snake, and it's about rebirth. It's about shedding that old skin and never, ever going back. And I can see it. I'm seeing it in so many people and myself, of really letting go of, you know, old ghosts. Yesterday, it was so funny. I messaged my landlord, I think it was Saturday, and I was just like, hey, just want you to know my phone's going to be off mostly for the next, you know, 3 or 4 days. I have a lot going on, and there's a lot of stuff going on energetically. I sent him kind of a little astrology report. And yesterday they had to come by here and get something that was on my side of the property where I'm staying. And they were like, it's just me. And I was like, okay. You know, he's like, I didn't message you because you said your phone would be off, but I'm sorry, I have to get back here. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's okay. I'm like, no worries. And then he like turns around, and I'm like, I start laughing my ass off because his shirt said something about ghosts. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't like the typical I ain't afraid of no ghosts. It was something else. And he's like a king picker. Like he's like literally his business is, he finds like really cool stuff and like puts them back out into the universe and repurposes them so they don't go into a landfill kind of thing. And so it was just something about like, I can handle ghosts or something, but it was just really fucking funny. And it just made me chuckle. And I was like, dude, your shirt. He's like, I know, right? I'm like, that's hilarious. But it's like, you know, because I was like telling him about things that are happening. He's just funny. Like, you know, we need the sense of humor now. So use your sense of humor, you know, and he didn't know he was going to see me or whatever, but he like listens, because since I've known him for like a year and a half, he's like, dude, you're like shit is true. Like whatever you say like happens. He's like, I listen to you. He's like, from now on, I'm listening to you. So it was just really funny. And I realized, but that's what makes us, you know, it's like just taking one step forward, even if it is wearing a silly t-shirt that says like, I ain't afraid of no ghosts, or I'm not worried about your ghosts or something, or take your ghosts and whatever. I'll have to ask him to send me a picture of his t-shirt, because it was really funny. But I'm trying to lighten up the situation, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to laugh, you know. I mean, there's so many movies where things are starting to get dark and shady, and then they tell them to laugh, right? And Willy Wonka, when they sip the fizzy lifting drinks and everything's great, right? Until they're about to fucking get chopped up in a fan. And so they burp and, you know, oh, that's right, they burped, they didn't laugh. I was thinking of The Witches of Eastwick originally. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to watch a bunch of fun witchy things. Watch American Horror Story, The Coven. If you can get that and binge watch it when you have a few days off, I'm serious, because you'll want to. It is so fucking good. Now, mind you, it is really harsh. It is really dark. It's based on real true stories that happened in Louisiana there's flashbacks from the slave period, because these witches are old, and it's really cool. But I mean, it's got Jessica Lange and Kathy Bates and how Stella got her groove back, and Tina Turner, Angela Bassett, like just some, and those are the queen witches, right? Like the voodoo witches, and then like the younger witches. I can go on and on. There's so many. Emma Roberts and I can't. There's so many, but that is really powerful. And I feel like maybe for some of you, even if you don't align with being a witch, it's about your power and understanding your power, especially the coven, because I feel like the coven starts out one way and the ending is just so fucking good. It's so good. And I want us all to remember our power, and to remember that how we wield it is literally of our discretion. How other people wield their power is none of your business. All you can do is mind yours and, you know, keep it at bay. Do what you need to do. But it is going to take all of your strength for you to pull yourself out of this past like energy. And I'm seeing it almost like an oracle, or like, you know, because for some of you, I feel like you think like the fifth dimensional energy is like a place, and they're like, we're in it, it's energy. So the energy on the planet has changed, and it's gone back to the fifth dimensional energy. That's why everything, I mean, I was like, October 6th, I feel like it was just September. And it's like, well, it was, you know, you're at the beginning of October, but things are going to keep moving quickly like this, and that's okay. That's also why people are noticing, like, they just had some guy, I don't know where he was from, but I mean, it was a little sad, because literally it looked like his face was drooping off. It was kind of freaking me out a little bit. But there was this old man, but I mean, look at it this way. I mean, he looked very like standard, meaning like, I think he had like a flannel shirt on and like a hat, and you know what I mean? Like very standard old man kind of like gear. I didn't feel like wizard vibes or anything, but he's 113. And they're like, holy shit, like, how did you do it? Like, how did you live? How are you still alive? You know, because especially during that time when people were eating shit and, you know, like all this, that's why people are dying, and they want us to reproduce, and they don't want us to have birth control and all these things. It's like, there's just so many things where people's eyes are wide open. And, you know, we do have the random anomalies of people where it's like, yeah, there must be something in your genes. Like, how did you live to be 113 if you like, you know, lived in this place or that diet? Because there's other places in the world where people are walking every day and they're like his age, and they're walking every day like they're 70. So we're going to see like our lives are going to be longer, you know, no more is it going to be like, you know, it's interesting because so many people, myself included, in their 50s, they, you know, call it, you know, when women are going through menopause, you know, the men are going through menopause, right? And they do that typical like, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? Am I still going to be attractive, right? And all of these things like start to happen. Are women going to still want me? Am I still going to have sex? Like there's just a lot of interesting things that come into our mindsets, and that's what they want us to, that's what we're shifting, is the way we look at ourselves, the way we look at humanity, the way that we look at culture, and how, you know, how we help each other. We are becoming one universal planet. And I do believe that at some point we may have borders, but it won't be the way it is now, where it's like, let's build walls and keep you out. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what this is about. But it's going to take another probably 50 years for us to really fold into the full effect of the fifth dimensional energy. But how we do that is by those who are, if you're here right now, you are a light worker. You may be an earth angel as well. You may be many things, but you are some type of light worker, healer. You have gifts like others, you know, not like others. Well, you have gifts like others like us, right? But all of us may have similar gifts, but we all have our own individual divinity and our path and purpose and why we were planted here as star seeds. So I would venture to guess that if you found yourself here, 99.9% of you are star seeds of some kind, and now you're waking up and spirit's like, you're going to make money easily. And the interesting thing is, for some of you, it might take a little bit longer if it's something you have to study, of course, but get a job in the field of the direction that you're going, right? I remember when I went back to college, and my very first day at school and my very first class, our professor did a lecture instead of, you know, because it's the first day, and introducing and all, and it was the history of fashion, and I was going for fashion design. And she said, just so you guys know, if you don't know this already, if you're, you know, intake people didn't tell you about this, or when you signed up, she said, we do have a group of, I don't know what she called them, but they were facilitators that helped us get jobs, right? Like that was one of the key things, that you're not just going to be left. Like they always help you get a job when you graduate, or at least if you are using their job programs, you will find a way. So I went the very first day and introduced myself and had this amazing rapport with because the person that was like the head of it, we met, and I don't know if we were either around the same age, or maybe I might have just been a little bit older than her, but she was like so inspired that here I was, you know, at 37, like going back to school, and she's like, that's really awesome. And she's like, good for you. And I said, yeah, I'm like, send anything my way. I'm like, paid or unpaid. And she goes, you don't have to take everything that comes your way. And I said, no, I understand that. I said, but right now, I said, I have a resume for politics. I have a resume for television. I have a resume for food and beverage and entertainment. I said, but I do not have anything for my resume. I said, except for the fact that I know fashion, I love fashion, you know, and obviously I dress awesome. So like, you know, this is my calling card. I said, but I don't have, I need to build my resume. And she said, well, what are your interests? You know, she's like, you're in fashion design, but there's a lot of jobs I can send you to. And I said, runway, I want to do runway. I want to learn everything I can about runway, because I'm going to be producing my own line. I want to be able to produce my own runway shows, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. And by the time I left school, and I went to school for 1 year and 9 months straight, I never graduated. I stopped at computerized pattern making because I knew I wasn't going to be there. And I knew I had padded my resume so well, and I had made so many connections in that 1 year and 9 months that I was like, it was actually hurting me more to stay. And they're like, are you kidding? It's fashion. They're like, all you have to do is put down, you know, fashion design and your school, and you don't even have to put the year, you know. She's like, it's not like that anymore, you know. And I was like, okay, because I'm 53, almost 54 now. But long story short, I hustled my fucking ass off. And after 1 year and 9 months, I had done 30 plus. I was like maybe 31. It was probably 31 because my birthday's 13th and the number of the witch, and 31 is 13 backwards, but I know it's somewhere around there. But I had to, my resume had gotten so big that I had to literally like leave stuff off and only put like the best ones, right? Like, no offense to the local designers, right? But when I first started, it was like, oh, I'm with, you know, I worked for this local designer and I did this, you know, and I started for free. I did so many things for free, and I hustled and hustled and hustled. And I worked 2 jobs and went to school, and I did side jobs when I could. Sometimes I would even take off my my job. I'd get my shifts covered, but I would like take my job off if I knew that there was a fashion job. And at one point, I think I'd worked like 15 jobs straight. And she's like, you can say no. And I said, I understand that. I'm like, but I need to do this. Like, and it kept me focused. I didn't drink and party and go out with my friends, whatever, because I was laser focused. And I was also laser focused because I was older. I wasn't a kid. You know what I mean? I wasn't just like wide-eyed coming out of high school, going into college, wanting to party and all that. I get that. But for me, it was different. I was like, if I'm going to work this hard, I'm working for a purpose. And that led me to everything that I am today from that decision. And I met so many people in the fashion industry that I went from the biggest fashion show of the year in Chicago. I went from working it as a dresser the first year to making such a strong connection to the producer of the show. I followed her around like a fucking dog. And I asked her if it was okay if I followed her around when I wasn't working, and take notes and stuff. And she was like, yeah. And then like, she knew my name. And then she would say to me, hey, she's like, are you busy tonight? And I wasn't busy, but I had a big day the next day for school. Cause some days I had to go to school and work. And it was a really big, long day. And I, lived on the outskirts of the city. I was in the city, but like, I still had to like take trains. And, it was not easy. It was never fucking easy ever, but I did it. And she asked me to go back and help her. And before I knew it, I was like, holy shit, I'm in the underbelly of the mecca of the fashion industry of Chicago, the biggest part. And we all know it's not like they do have Chicago Fashion Week, but it's not like New York Fashion Week. But still, I was like, I felt like I'd made it because I did. I was like rubbing shoulders with these people. And then when all these big shows would come, I would have never got Chanel, and Chanel hadn't even been in Chicago, hadn't done any runway shows or anything like for years. Like their pieces may have been in shows like, here and there, right? Because they had their flagship store on Michigan Avenue. But that particular, like when I was at my best, Chanel decided they were so proud of their Shanghai Couture collection. It was Paris Shanghai Couture collection. They were so proud of it that they actually like went on tour with it all over the world. And they hadn't done that in like, I think 18 years or something at that point. I mean, there are no accidents. And here I am. Next thing I know, I'm brushing shoulders with the editor of Harper's Bazaar, who, same thing, followed around like a dog. Can I help you? I was the captain. I was the head dresser. That other show, the next year, I was the head dresser and captain for the biggest runway show in Chicago. I did that in a year and a half because I hustled my fucking ass off. So I am telling you, if you really want something, you can have it, and you're meant to have it. If it wakes you up at night, if it makes you, whatever it is, that is your path. That is your purpose. So moving forward, the ritual uses for the bay leaves are: the ancient priestess of Apollo chewed bay leaves to induce a prophetic state and also inhaled their fumes. Bay leaves are used as decorations at Yule. The magical uses are: bay is used as clairvoyance and wisdom brews. Although its taste is strong, bay leaves are placed beneath the pillow to induce prophetic dreams and are also burned to cause visions. It is a protection and purification herb par excellence and is worn as an amulet to ward off negativity and evil, burned or scattered during exorcism rituals, placed in the windows to protect against lightning, and hung up to prevent poltergeists from working any mischief in the house. A sprig of bay is used to sprinkle water during purification ceremonies, and the tree planted near the home protects its inhabitants against sickness. Bay leaves mixed with sandalwood can be burned to remove curses and evil spells. To ensure, by the way, I don't believe in that. I think if you believe somebody has X on you, then you have one. If you don't, you don't. And not only that, we said this at the beginning of this. Remember when Spirit came in and said that they wanted you to remember that they're looking out for you? Do you see all of these sparkles over here? That's you flying from the universe to Earth, right? They had me have it like a little more earthy over here, a little more open, but like all the crystals and all the goodies, because that's them looking out for you. Whatever fear cycle or bubble you're in is man-made and was co-created by yourself and others. Because if you didn't have any reason to have any fear, I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, right? So to ensure that a love will stay, the couple should break off a twig from the tree, then break this into each keeping a half. Yeah, and remember, never do love spells or any spell on another person. You're taking their power away, and that is not only bad karma, but that's dark magic, okay? Even if you think it's for their greatest and highest good, that's not up to you. That's between them and the divine. You could pray for them, you know, whatever's in their greatest and highest good. That's awesome. Every prayer I do that isn't just about me, and even with myself, I say whatever's in the greatest and highest good of all. Because we are one, and this is a well-oiled machine. And the second that we think we know better than our higher selves in spirit that's when we get lost. So it says, bay leaves give strength to those engaged in wrestling and athletic sports if worn at the time of competition. By the way, this was written in the 7 days. This is awesome. I'm sorry, I had to laugh because I was born in 71, and I'm like, that's like, my brother was a wrestler, and like, there was so many sports like in my house. I was a cheerleader, basketball, and football for like almost a decade. It just made me laugh a little bit. Okay, so it says, wishes are written on bay leaves, which are then burned to make them come true. And a bay leaf held in the mouth wards off bad luck. So maybe I'll have spirit do something like that. And maybe if you can, find yourself some bay leaves. The drier, the better, you know, and write with like, if you can, like, have you ever seen those ballpoint pen Sharpies? Like something like that, that'll, you know, so it won't smear. So it'll smear. My South Side Chicago is coming out. I think that's really powerful. I feel like over this full moon, it's time to do something. I feel like I'm going to do something to myself. And if I'm called to, maybe I'll do a shorts for it. Okay, so those are your messages. I don't think we have any more, but they did tell me that there were going to be some that we were going to pull more cards for. Okay, let me see. There are also, let me see if we have, is it in their greatest and highest good for me to read anything from the book before we go? It's number 6. Okay, so it's number 6, which is funny because I was talking about a 7, and 6 and 7 are 13, and we spoke about that too. So I'm going to read this from the book. And I feel like it would actually be really helpful. Oh, this is so interesting. Do you want me to, do you want to do any screenshots of this? Okay. I asked if they wanted to do a screenshot and they said no. So I'm just going to read it to you. And the reason why is because there was something on the other page and I thought it was a sign, but they're saying no, not all the time, right? It just happens to be where it's placed at number 7. And if they have me talk about it after, I will. Okay, sorry to be cryptic, but you know, it's for your own good. If there's anything held back, it's because you're not ready or it doesn't apply to your story. Okay, so the interpretation is a woman drops a coin into a piggy bank. Her green shirt suggests wealth. Yes, we're a lot of green too. Green's connected to the heart chakra, and like, you know, we're colors of inspiration as well. Yellows and oranges, reds and blacks are good for protection as well. Just maybe it's time to look at like color theory and when it comes to spiritual meanings for some of you. Okay, and it could be for some of you, it's time to change. It's time for you to change your outward appearance to match your inward appearance. I don't know who that's for. A woman drops a coin into a piggy bank. Her green shirt suggests wealth. She looks content as she deposits the coin, where it will be safely stored until needed. Oh, and that's what I heard is when you think of saving money, think of it that way. Not like, oh, I need to save this money. It's like, no, it's there for a rainy day. Recently, Spirit had me put some money aside. I wasn't sure what for. And then I realized something had come up and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. You know what I mean? And sometimes we're a little more flush than others. So when you're more flush, you know, do that. Also, they're bringing up, I had a time where another time where I was really, same thing, but it wasn't a job. I wanted to go to Europe. I wanted to go so bad. And all these years I kept saying I was going to go. I was married to a Brit. We never went. I was frustrated. I was just like, this is crazy. So to celebrate my divorce from him, I'm like, well, I'm going. And ironically, I didn't go to England, but the best flight I can get, which was hundreds of dollars cheaper, was to do a layover in at Heathrow. I didn't get to go outside. I thought I would be able to, but I didn't have enough time. But I was on British soil. Like It's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? But what I did was, at the time I was in a job where I made a lot of money, and instead of pissing my money away, which I had been doing, I decided that when my car was paid off, I was going to keep putting that money in the bank. So the second my last payment went through, I literally like called up my bank or went into the bank. You know, this is like many, many moons ago, before all this other stuff and internet. But I went into the bank and I said, I want you to take $250 out of I want to open a savings account, and I want you to take $250 out every month on this date. And so I even if I had a low whatever, it went out, and I didn't even look at it. And then finally, I'd gotten my bank statement, and I looked down, and somewhere between, and I was putting money in there too, but I was like treating it like, you know, I was like, well, I'm used to this 250 anyway. You guys, I almost shit when I looked down and I saw $2,500. I'd put another zero on there, and it wasn't even hard. You know, now that was a big amount and I could afford it at the time, but even now it's like $5 here, a few dollars there. You just never know. You never know. So do yourself a favor and start looking at money as exactly that, financial freedom. And my eyes just went to that. And I think what they're trying to show you as well is, remember when I said next year is the year of the horse? The horse is all about freedom. I feel like start doing it now. If you haven't been doing it, you know, keep doing it. Or if you have been doing it, keep going. If you haven't been doing, start now, start today. Even if it's one little thing, just taking one little step towards that one thing that you want to do, that I'm telling you will be your ticket to financial freedom. It doesn't matter if you can't see it now. You need to have faith and believe and trust that your gut reaction is the truth underneath the surface of your fears. Don't let fear stop you. It doesn't belong to you, okay? It says financial independence is a goal for all of us. No one wants to be in serious debt or worry about having a roof over their head. No matter your circumstances, you need to plan and optimize your finances. You will not have peace of mind until you do. The practice here is creating a budget is a must for everyone. Too many people spend without realizing how much they are really burning through, or they are so nervous about money that they don't know that they can actually afford it. Money can be a difficult subject for some. Perhaps growing up, your family's relationship with money was strained, or perhaps you can't help but splurge every time you see the new seasons drop. Right? Let's talk about fashion. Whatever your tendencies, creating a budget should be a mandatory practice for every person with a credit card. There are many free templates available online, but really it's just simple math. First, count your paychecks for the month or the money that you're making, however you're doing it. Make sure to take out any taxes if they are not deducted already, and then start subtracting your rent, groceries, average credit card, any other liabilities. See where you end up. Are you in the red or the black? If you're in the black, the next step is to see how much you can either save or invest. If you are coming out behind each month, investigate why. It may not be as easy as cutting out a single line item, but the journey to independence can't begin unless you know what's holding you back. Wow, that's powerful. Right? Another thing of getting to the root of the problem. And speaking of addictions, check out that podcast, Profit, and check out the readings in the description box if you haven't already, because they were about what we need to release and what do we need to release, and then what part of our power, like how do we take our power back, kind of thing. So I thought those would be the kind of readings that we would do now, but I feel like they were meant to happen before this, so this can all come together. But either way, I pray they help you in any way. Is this message for anybody? Oh my gosh, you guys, it's on pages 12, 13, which is my birthday. Oh my gosh. So this is a sign for me too, right? Do we have any more messages for reading one before we move forward? Okay, you guys, again, all of the information that you are, any of those readings or things that I spoke about will be in the description box. Also in the description box, there are links to email me if you'd like to work with me one-on-one or in a group setting, if you'd like to hire me for a gathering of any kind, or if you have someone who's crossed over and you would like to have me come in, and you can bring several people. Those are very interesting and a nice way to have closure with our loved ones that have crossed over. And yeah, and if you'd like to contribute anything to the work that I do on this channel, there's links for that as well. And remember that prayer is free. It's all about the exchange of energy. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. I love you so much. Spirit says, we love you, we love you, and we love you. There is no fear. We got your back. Blessed be. Aho. Bye. Welcome, reading 2. I have to let you know that it was really powerful. I noticed when we stopped at reading 1, when it was done, it was at 44:49. When I was coming back to start your reading, I was downloading so many things, and I saw them separately, like the semicolons like faded away, and I saw 444 and then the number 9. So I feel like whenever you're seeing this in the year 2025, it's a 9 number, and I feel like you've been seeing 444 a lot, or like 444 is like, or 4 is your favorite number, or there's something with it. You know, it could even be, you know, your April 4th baby. It could be anything. But I really did see it as 3 4s, like 444, which is also the number 12, and that comes out to number 3. And if you add it with 2025 9, it still comes out to the number 3. So if you're into numerology, or maybe you didn't even know you're into numerology, but it's talking to you now, blessed full moon in Aries. They're always timeless, but in real time. Today is October 6th, 2025, and it's also a 7-day. And 7 was coming up a lot in reading 1, and I think I may have even neglected to, I don't know, did I say it was a 7-day? I don't know. I've been so many places. I've been so many places in my life, baby, or something like that. Yeah, that song is coming to mind. Oh, and it keeps playing, so I feel like that might be for somebody. So if they call me to, I'll put a link in the description box. If you know the song, then you know. If you don't, maybe it just was the words and I said them wrong because that's what you needed to hear. But either way, it's really powerful, and it keeps playing right now. So we'll see if it comes up. So your theme, because this was an open one, there's links in the description box for the 2 previous readings we did that were leading up to this full moon reading. One was about release, one was about taking our power back, and this one is messages you need to hear from spirit. So I kind of feel like this ties in some way. If you haven't watched the other 2, watch them in the order that you feel you're drawn to them. You don't have to watch them, you know what I mean? Like whatever, you know, you're between you and your guides, right? Like whatever messages you need to hear when you need to hear them. But this is really powerful. Like I'm feeling this from spirit right now, that I feel like this is kind of like a culmination of your reading. I did feel that in 1, but 1 was really in depth and was like really powerful. So if you're drawn to 1, definitely go check it out, because I think it had a lot of good energy in there for all of us, but and lessons and medicine. But yours, I feel that somehow it's like I'm seeing them kind of like tethered together, but it's going to be in the order that you watch them. Maybe you've watched the other 2 and now you're watching this one last. You know what I mean? Like whatever it's meant to be, but I do feel like this is a culmination. And this, I asked Spirit, do we want to do song titles? And they were like, yes. I'm like, perfect, because I really felt like whenever it's going to be like a whatever you need to hear right now kind of thing. I always feel like the songs are good, or the music is good, because if the song applies to it, it's even more powerful. But sometimes it's just because it's the title of the song, the title of the album, the name of the artist. This one was like all over the place. But the one thing that stuck out the most was You Wreck Me. And it's by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So I think that's interesting. And there's other parts of it that they will either have me tie in or they won't. But there were other things that were on, like I put it on Pandora Shuffle. So when it comes up, it'll say, you know, the artist, the album, the name of the song. Sometimes it'll have next to the name of the song a year that it was remastered, and yours did. And whenever it has something like that, I feel like it's a tie-in. So I feel like we'll get to that. But right now, oh my gosh. Okay. So I just realized a certain tie-in, but we'll get to that. So hang in there. I know, right? It feels cryptic, but it's because it's all meant to be. And trust me, it will tie in, because there's no way it won't. But there is something right now that is holding you back. There's like still one last piece of the puzzle that you need to hear from Spirit right now. And when they pulled in this deck, I was really excited because we haven't worked with it in a while, but also just because of the title, you know, it's the Self-Care Oracle. And this year has been a fucking dinger, especially for the starseeds. Like, we've had to, you know, because I'm not saying that it's easier for the third dimensional, right? Because it's not easy to be in constant fear or distress or whatever. But I'm just saying for us, it's like there's definitely a little more in-depth energy that we are exuding, and it's becoming physically exhausting for us here because we are dealing with our own personal stories and we're living in avatars in the third dimensional reality, right? But we also know that this is a matrix. We also know that this is part of a bigger part of the universe. You know, we also understand, most of us, that Earth is a training ground of some kind for the souls, and that humanity was created so that we can really expand our soul even further. You know, the universe is a very large place, and we are in a drop in the bucket. And so, you know, but we are a very important drop. And what happens here shifts the universe, and the universe shifts, you know, us, right? Like we are all one. So it's like the universe is also going through a grand shift right now. So we can feel that, like when we're sleeping, you know, some of us are astral traveling, and we're going to other dimensions and times and solar systems, and you know what I mean? Like we're going to different places. You know, maybe we look like, you know, we walk around in armor all day, but that's like that's what we look like. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I'm thinking, like the old armor, like in the castles, you know, the knights, you know, it's like, but seriously though, because that's the image they give you, because it could be anything. We could be in the form of a sponge, stealing that from John Cusack from Not Say Anything, the sure thing. And speaking of the sure thing, that's the thing, like the third dimensional energy, they're like, who do we believe? What do we, you know, but we know there's something bigger. We know there's something grander, right? So when I was putting this together, I saw You Wreck Me. I was like, oh, and it made me think of the Veronicas, you ruined me. And then I was listening to the, you know, I love Tom Petty, and I was really listening to the lyrics even closer, and just the way, you know, and I urge you to seek it out if they don't have me put a link in the description box, but they might. But look in there, there's always gems in there, and ways to contact me if you'd like to work with me one-on-one. But I am telling you, the second I saw that, I thought the Veronicas, I thought relationships, but then bam, I beelined right back to like ourselves. So the You Wreck Me, before we look at this card, I was getting this, and I haven't seen them either. It's always fun for me too if I don't know what your card is. I get to just channel and be in the moment with you, with your higher self and your guides and the universe, and then we get into the nitty-gritty. But you know, I instantly went back to like that this is you, the You Wreck Me. You are the you, and you wreck me. So they're going to expound on that. But do you understand what they're saying? So this isn't about somebody else is wrecking you. Like nobody has the power to destroy us but us. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me, right? That kind of energy. So let's see what your card is. Ooh. Oh, it's upside down. Massage. Oh my gosh. So this is very interesting because I asked Spirit if we were going to be pulling more than one card today, and they said some of them. So we did have other cards in the reading one, but it wasn't from this deck. So I'm going to see if they want me to pull any more, because it's like, you wreck me. And maybe, oh, this one's really wanting to come out, these few. Maybe, oh, here we go. They're going to say, take control of change. So also massage. Is it? Hold on. I don't have my glasses on. Okay, that's 28. Oh, 13. 13 is the number of the divine feminine of the witch. And that feels like a divine feminine energy, but interesting. So number 28, massage. Number 13, take control of change. So it could be for some of you, you know, that self-care has not been high on the menu, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take control of the situation and treat yourself. And you know what's so interesting? I had this moment, long story short, but I was literally thinking about getting a massage like this morning, but it was from something completely different. So I find this interesting, and I just got the chills. So there might be something in here for me too. But listen, did you notice that when they're saying take control of change, maybe for some of you, it's like, it's time for you to do something really drastic. And maybe the massage is the beginning of it. Or it could be because these are messages you need to hear from spirit right now. So like if you watched in those other readings, like, you know, like a lot of it talked about path and purpose, maybe you're somebody who loves massage. I had a friend who literally, like, when we would have parties or get-togethers, everybody would line up to get massages from her. Everybody. She was famous for doing head massages. Like, we would go to parties and I'd be like, dude, you know, people would just like run up to her and she'd be like, all right, get in line. And she'd be like, you know, let me get something to drink. You know what I mean? And she'd get super chill and have some wine. And she'd be in like a little corner or a little cubby of the party, of the room, whatever, just giving head massages to people, hand massages. It was never sexual. It was not about that. Nobody wanted that. It wasn't about that. And it was a lot of really close friends too. But I remember one time I was like, dude, have you been doing that all night? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Drink some water, by the way. Also, I'm hearing somebody needs to stop smoking. Out of nowhere, I feel like my lungs just filled up with smoke. Smoking is not your friend. And I feel like maybe for some of you, that's why you haven't done massage, because you're like, I'm going to smell, right? Like, yeah, I mean, who wants to be massaged by somebody who has, you know, nicotine, you know, smoky hands, right? Like, that's not, you know, that's not the time and the place. But I did know people who were massage therapists that, and were Reiki artists that smoked, but they were just like super, like, they'd have one cigarette outside, they'd go and wash their hands right away, they'd put like oils on their hand, you know what I mean? So their hands never smelled. But like, you know, I definitely am getting the vibe that somebody needs to quit smoking. I mean, I haven't had anything physical come up like that in a really long time. And I don't care if you're like, I just have them once in a while. They're like, no, cigarettes are a no. But anyway, long story short, my dear friend was really struggling with like what to do for a job, and she had worked in these really great jobs and made lots of money, and she was just like, but I'm miserable. Like, I have money, but I'm miserable. This isn't what I want to do. And I was like, dude, I really think you're meant to do massage. I'm like, I don't think it's natural. I've never ever, my hands cramp up after a while. I mean, I just don't have that dexterity. And even though I'm active and I'm using my hands all the time, I'm like, just everybody's built differently. And I said, I can't imagine that you can do that for hours like that and never fucking get tired if that's not part of your purpose or your path. So even if this is for one person outside of, yes, treat yourself to a massage, this is your wink wink from spirit to do it. Also on the box there, it says, let the self-care oracle deck guide you to mindful peace. Also, my friend was super, super peaceful, and that was their job, right? Like, to be in a room where people are coming to let go of their stress, to let go of their pain and suffering, you know, and she did the smudging and all that, did the cleansing. Obviously, you know, you have to be really mindful not to take that home with you. But if that is your path and that is your purpose, you will know. But also this one, I literally, when I saw 13, it made me think of the divine feminine. But I feel like these kind of photos are really cool because it's like they don't have little things for breasts, like, right? Like little, it's like, I feel like it's meant to be androgynous like that. So it's like this reading isn't about whether you know, however you feel or express, you know, labels that, you know what I'm talking about on the outside. This is about the divine feminine. We all have divine feminine and divine masculine. And I feel like in this, I was really drawn to this energy of this being androgynous. And it could even be for some of you, like maybe you look a certain way because it makes you look more like a girl, you know, quote unquote, or you don't want to have short hair because it'll make you look like a boy, quote unquote, or maybe you feel like you are, you know, a boy. And I'm saying boy and girl because I feel like right now we're really getting to the nitty gritty of our inner child trauma and we're pulling things out at the root. So it could be that maybe you're meant to cut your hair or do something. It made me think of Hallelujah. And she cut your hair. You know that song? If they call me to, I'll put a link in the description box. And it could even feel like that's how you'll feel, like hallelujah, like I just want to get rid of this. I just want to have something different. I want to feel lighter. I want to feel different. You know, one time I cut my hair, like my hair was well past my bra, right? My bra strap in the back. And I cut it to 2 inches off my head. I swear to God, that was the turning point with my first husband. He was like, oh my God. He's like, what did you do? You know? And I was like, I was tired of it. I always wanted to try short hair, but also I had bought a convertible and I at first I thought, oh yeah, I want my hair wild, whipping in the wind, but you realize you really don't. It's a pain in the ass. It's in your face. It's sticking to your lips, you know, your lip gloss or whatever. So even when I would tie it back or whatever, it just was annoying. So I wanted to drive in my convertible and feel free. And I'll tell you what, I loved it. I loved it. I felt beautiful. I felt sexy. The sad thing is, other people made me not feel good about myself. And I allowed that to seep in. And I feel like maybe that's what's happening with you too. Don't let it. There's another card behind there. I don't know what it is yet, but I feel like the divine feminine is telling you to just do it with love. And remember, the hair grows back. You know what I mean? Your hair is going to grow back. It's going to grow back. It's what it does. It makes me think of when I was a kid growing up with Play-Doh, and like we had the thing where when you put the Play-Doh in at the barber and you pushed on the thing and the Play-Doh would go through his little cuticles and you'd grow his hair and like you could play barber. It's like, I kind of feel like that. And maybe for some of you, watch a tutorial. If you trust yourself enough, if you got good, like really good, solid, sharp scissors, be mindful, be very careful. It's so easy to cut yourself. Please be mindful, okay? But cut your own hair. Like, I'm excited. I'm actually getting ready to do a little ritual too, and do it in like a ritual way. You know, even maybe you want to like put your hair in a ponytail, pull it all the way back and pull it really tight to where you want the length, and then just cut it and then just leave it. Just leave it, especially if it's, you know, long layers or something like that. It's like, let it just like naturally go. It's awesome that we have hairdressers and we have people who want to play with hair and cut hair. And there are some people who don't want to cut their hair. But Spirit is saying, have enough confidence in yourself. Believe in yourself. If you want to do something, do it yourself. I really think that's powerful, because otherwise they would show them in a barber chair or, you know what I mean? Or, you know what I'm talking about, a hairdresser chair getting their hair cut by somebody else. But they're not. They're saying like, maybe part of change is like, you know, instead of putting money towards cutting your hair and spending all this money, whatever, maybe it's meant to put your money towards something else. Maybe it's the massage. And let me tell you something else, getting back to that massage. Okay. I have had many massages in my life, but I had 2 life-changing massages that afterwards I promised myself and swore to myself that I would keep it up as a regular practice, because I felt so different. It was like I went in there like, oh my God, I'm really stressed out and couldn't even like put thoughts together. You know what I mean? And when I walked out, it was like, my friend was like, oh dude, I'm so sorry. I was late picking you up. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, no, I'm fine. And on the way home, they're like, dude, what the fuck? They're like, you're so chill. I'm like, I feel like a different person. I felt like a different person because I was. We don't realize how much we hold in, but also be prepared that because we hold a lot of stress and pain and suffering in our muscles, when they get massaged, it gets released too. So it's got to come out somewhere. A lot of people cry during, I've had massage sessions where like we had to stop it so that I could sit up because I was crying so hard. And sometimes it's not even from crying, like I'll just get really stuffed up. I've gotten viciously sick after getting a massage. They say it's perfectly normal. Like I went in there feeling fine, or did I? I was feeling run down, I was feeling tired. And then when my friend was going to school, she did become a massage therapist, right? So when she was going to school, she would practice on me. We were living together and we were roommates, which lucky me, right? And I mean, I was a puddle after those several months living with her. I'd become such a different person. I shed so much. I lost weight. It was after a divorce. It was like so freeing, you know? But one of the things that she would say to me, I'd be like, oh, dude, can you give me a massage? I'm like, I'm so sore. And she'd be like, she would ask me all these questions. Where are you sore? Where are you tired? Blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, why are you asking me these questions? And she said, because if you're getting sick and you get a massage, she goes, it can literally like bring on like an influx of like a major, you know, she's like, some people have gotten pneumonia after getting a massage just when they were on the brink of getting sick. She's like, it just depends on how much you're holding. I had one of my back legs, my what do you call it? My back lower leg muscle was so tight. When she started working on it, I was like, oh, I'm like, dude, that really hurts. I'm like, that really hurts. She's like, oh my God. And then we realized like she would talk to me, like she would be asking me questions. Now, not everybody does this. Some people like zero conversation during massage, but she was a therapist as well. So she'd be like, you know, what are you feeling? Like what's happening? And then I was realizing like I was holding all this pain and suffering, some trauma, a childhood trauma was being held. I was an adult woman, but there was this pain and suffering in my leg from when I was a young child. We really hold on to shit, especially if you're somebody who hoards things, you know. It could be anything from like you never throw a bill away because it might be important, or you never, you know what I mean? It's like it's so different for everybody. But our bodies, we can sometimes tend to hoard emotions. So here it's coming into now. So next to You Wreck Me was 2014 remastered. So I feel like for some of you, we are in 2025. So there might be something in 2014. Remember when we started this, it was 444 and a 9. The 9 could mean something significant to you, but also remember that we're almost there. And Spirit wants to remind you, like, you're almost there. Keep going, keep going, keep going. You have to push a little harder. You have to work a little, you know, closer to the grain, some of you. You know, they had me bring this in this reading over here, the crystal ball. I didn't bring the crystal ball into the first reading. They had me move things around a little bit, you know. So there might be some messages hidden right in front of you, scrying. Maybe something's been looking at you, one of the crystals, one of the stones. I'm getting the chills all over my body. So we're ready for the next card. Take control of change. I love that. Yoga. Oh my gosh. You guys, this is so crazy. Let me tell you why. Because my friend who I was telling you about, who is the massage therapist, this is number 26, they also teach yoga. And as far as I know, they still do both. And that could be, you know, a way for you to, I feel like this wants to come over here. Like this is you. Oh my gosh, you guys. Do you see this right here? How this goes like almost perfectly. I love when Spirit does that shit. Like they're trying to show you like you're connected to the cosmos. You know what I mean? Like you're connected to all of it. But either this is you, like you need to do more yoga and you need to get more massages, or it's also maybe for some of you, you're meant to just be a yoga teacher. Maybe you're meant to just be a massage therapist. It could be I don't know if there's a Reiki card in there, but Reiki just came in. You know, I've had people say to me, from my Reiki master to a friend who was a Reiki master, and so many people in between. But definitely those two like would really get on me about it. They're like, dude, I'm telling you, your life purpose is to be a Reiki. And I was like, it is not my life purpose. It is part of who I am. And yes, I do Reiki myself and others. But when I was going through my certification process for Reiki, it was one of the most difficult things I ever did, because I any friend that I had and colleagues, anybody, I was like, hey, can I practice on you? It's free. I need to get my hours in. And of course they were like, yeah. And one of my clients became my friend through that. We actually became really good friends through our connection to spirit together. And even though it was free, she would always give me, she was well-to-do, and she would always, give me money. And I'd be like, I don't, she's like, I want to, I can, please take it. And I'm like, okay. But she was one of the ones that really was very gifted as well. And I was telling her during one of our sessions, I said, it's been tougher. She's like, how's it going? And I said, I'm not really enjoying it as much as I thought I would. And she's like, really? I'm surprised. She's like, I mean, I always feel amazing. She's like, I love, coming to you. And I said, yeah. I go, but unfortunately, and this is, I went through Reiki first, even though I started with a channeling circle. That's how my Reiki master and I connected. She pulled me into Reiki really quickly, and I was grateful that she did. But at the same time, I'm a natural medium. I'm a telepathic medium. So it takes so much effort for me to not read people, especially if they don't have any boundaries or borders with their energy. So that's why I'm alone a lot. I'm like the hermit, right? Like I'm alone a lot because of that. Because especially now with the way things are, I have to put so much energy, I have to exert. Now, spirit always has my back and everything, but if I'm out too long, or if I'm around people too long, it can really, really drain me. And that's what was happening. So maybe you're having something like that too, where like you really thought you'd like it, but it's draining. It could be just something for you and not necessarily, or maybe just for your close circle, of people. Maybe it's for an exchange of energy because you have a friend who does X, Y, and Z. So you trade things. I don't know, whatever this hits for you. You know what I mean? These are very specific. And that's why it kind of blew me away, because that friend, she broke it up. She didn't just do massage. She also did yoga. And that was a really great flow. Like they knew themselves so well. They were so connected to themselves and the divine that they understood that they needed a break, right? Because they're also a wife and a mother and a community leader, that kind of thing. When you have so much on your plate, you have to be able to delegate your self-care and the awareness of your self-care. So, over here, they spoke about the peace, guiding you to mindful peace. But as much as I loved Reiki, every person I ever worked on, I was reading for them too. And it was just overwhelming. And it was just too much. It was too much. But I feel comfortable doing what I'm doing now. However, obviously, if spirit was like, this person needs Reiki or this, I would be like, I'm down. Like, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean? And I still do. I haven't Reiki'd anybody outside myself in person in a minute, but like I Reiki you guys all the time, like during readings, or like when you come through, I call your higher self to send you some healing energy. Energy is energy, and it's how we use it and wield it, and it's different for everybody. And who knows, maybe as the third dimensional energy, winds down and we get closer to the fifth dimensional energy, that may be my calling later in life, or maybe next year even, I don't know. But don't be discouraged if you start one way and then, because I'm glad that I have the Reiki. It helps tremendously. But if I had allowed people who I really looked up to and were mentors to tell me, what my path was, when every fiber of my being was like, no, they're like, oh, you're just afraid, or you just have to do this, or you just have to do that. I'm like, And it's interesting because I'm like, you are like me. You guys are Reiki masters. Like, you of all people should know never to tell anybody what their path or their purpose is. That's their own journey, you know? So I just found that interesting. So if anybody, maybe it could be somebody who's trying to force you too, to like go down a path that doesn't feel right for you. If it doesn't feel right for you, it's not right for you. Okay? Let me see. Do we have any more messages for reading 2 at this time? Do we want to read anything out of the book for any of these cards, any and of all of these cards? There are book meanings as well. Do we want to put any book meanings anywhere else on the channel for them to look in deeper, to get a closer look at their own personal situation? Okay. Do we have any more channeled messages that want to come through for reading 2? Okay. Are we all done? Okay, that's it, reading 2. I hope these messages helped you in any way. Ooh, I said that and this fucking card just flew off the top. I heard, and drink some tea. I love it. And drink some tea. Oh, love it. And it's number 16. Oh, yeah, so that's what I was going to say, too. I said I wasn't going to be able to forget 2014 because it comes out to the number 7. And what do we say? Today's a 7-day. And look at number 7, drink tea. And make sure, I heard, brew it yourself. That's part of the self-care, too, right? Is brewing it yourself. And I'm definitely getting like, somebody needs a haircut or like a makeover. Like, it's time. And I almost feel like they want to cover that. It's almost like, I feel like the last message I'm getting from Spirit is I feel like for some of you, I feel like, do you see the little bird here and it's snowing? I feel like some of you feel like you're looking at the world from like the outside instead of the inside. You know what I mean? Like, you're inside, you're warm and cozy, but you're not getting out into the world. And for some of you, Spirit's saying it's time to get out into the world. And even if it's just to take yourself to tea, don't bring your computer, don't bring your phone. Just go and sit. Maybe bring a book, you know, something to get, you know, creative juices flowing. But it's really about the restful reaction. And maybe it's like all in one day. Like, give yourself a spa day, you know, wake up early, you know, maybe you go and get your hair cut if you don't cut it yourself, go to yoga, go get a massage, and then go to a tea house and look back on your whole day and just sit there. Just sit there and look out the window. Maybe there's a tea house somewhere near you or a place, a cafe that has a really great window. And don't concern yourself. It'll be open. You know what I mean? Like, you'll whenever, go with the flow of the energy of timing, whatever it is, you know? Maybe you're meant to go to yoga first and come home and take a shower and go get a massage. You know what I mean? Like, whatever it is, like, just go with the flow of the energy. And I'm hearing it's just time to really treat yourself. And I can't explain it, but I feel like this feels like a door. Like, I feel like they're like, this is going to be the door to open you to all of the freedoms. Because I heard financial. So some of you are drawn to reading 1. Go check that out. I am on my way to reading 3. All right, you guys, those are your messages. I hope they helped you in any way. We love you so much. All the information that you need is in the description box, and we'll see you at the next reading. Blessed be. Oh, bye. Could it be magic? Come on. Barry Manilow, welcome, reading 3. Oh my gosh, you guys are so magical. I have to take a picture. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being here, reading 3. Thank you for allowing me to read for you today. I'm grateful for all the readings today. I really am. But this one, I have to say, I felt really sunk into the full moon and Aries energy, if that makes any sense. And it makes sense for me too, because I started these readings hours ago, and you know, I'm just getting closer. As these readings are being done, we're just getting closer to the peak of the full moon. And it's also the first supermoon of the next 3 supermoons. So with that being said, I have no idea what your card is, but I do know that when I asked Spirit to help me decide how we were going to label these readings, what the readings were going to be, I definitely got the kind of generic, whatever you needed to hear kind of vibe. But I also felt like each reading needed a theme of some kind. And I thought it was really cute because your theme is you're all right. And that's a message from Spirit saying, you're all right. All is well. All is well. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Everything is exactly where it's meant to be. This has been coming up a lot. There are links for the other readings that are tied into this reading. I didn't realize that they were tied in until I started reading one today. And I felt it, the first set of readings that we did, picker readings, it was about, what is your soul asking you to release at this time? And then the next one was, what do you need to reclaim, right? And now that we're releasing things, what do we need to call back, right? And it's really about calling back our power. And I feel like those were meant to happen far out before this full moon, because out of all of the full moons of this year, this feels like the most potent and powerful, at least up until this moment. We've had some doozies and things, and I have no idea, drink some water. I have no idea what's coming, in the next 2 full moons, because I'm not there yet. But right now I can tell you, in my own personal experience anyway, I feel that this is the most powerful one. And this really is a time to release and let go. And I was very, as my mom used to say, tickled that the Self-Care Oracle wanted to come into this reading today. Because as it says on the box, let the Self-Care Oracle deck guide you to mindful peace. And yours wasn't just a message from Spirit that, said you'll be all right. But I'll put links in the description box for the songs that were associated with each reading, because I think some of them, the lyrics are really poignant as well. And this one wasn't one that I'm super familiar with. I know of it, but I don't want to say any more. I want you to seek it out. I want to say, well, they're telling me to be quiet, so I'm not going to say, but they will give me this one hint that it said something on the album to the effect of, you're all right, kid. And when I read it, I laughed because there were so many things on the album, and I was like, do I want to use this word? Is this blah, blah, blah? The picture was really powerful, which you'll see when you see it. So if your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to go and listen to it, because it has something, there might be some more little pearls of wisdom in there for you, or some insight even to the cover or the album title or whatever. The artist, could be the artist's name. There's always breadcrumbs everywhere, signs everywhere. But this was a little different because when I first read it, and it's, I felt like when I was growing up, it was like, you're all right, kid. Get up, dust yourself off. Like, you're all right, kid. Like, don't worry about it. You're all right, kid. And so that was interesting. And I was like, I wonder if that will play in. But then when I went to write it down, they had me remove the kid, which obviously because you've seen it and you chose it. Because it's kind of like they want you to take it in the, you're all right, you're okay. Things may not be where you want them to be. Things may feel scattered. You may be running on a fear-based energy, but I can tell you, with all that is sacred, that the way they built your altar, I feel like, is powerful. Take time to really look at it. There may be some scrying messages in there for you, but the sparkles are little wink winks from your higher self and from your celestial family that wants you to remember that you are first and foremost a light being. Second, having a human experience. It is not the other way around. This isn't like, oh, I'm human, I have a soul, will I go to heaven? It's like, no, you are a soul that's possessing an avatar in this matrix. I mean, we've been having these movies and all of the, if you really look at pop culture, I've been infatuated with pop culture since I was born. One of my dear friends growing up, we were obsessed with looking at our horoscope. Her parents, it was interesting because I had one of my friends' family got one newspaper and another one of my friends' family got another one, because we had the Chicago Sun-Times and the Chicago Tribune, and not everybody got the same paper, So I loved it because they had different, horoscopes, but the Sun-Times was always my favorite horoscope, my friend and I. and we would read them every morning. And now looking back on it, I wonder how much that we co-created that, right? Like trying to make that be our story that day. So it's just a very interesting, I feel like they just want us to really start looking back at things, you know. Our childhood stuff is going to keep coming up for a while. We are in 2025, which is a 9-year. When I looked up, I saw 12413. 13's been coming up a lot. It's the number of the divine feminine. It's actually, you know what's really cool is a week from today is, so we have the full moon today, right? On a moon day, which is always so powerful. When we have a full moon on a moon day and a super moon, I mean, it kind of doesn't get any more awesome than that, right? Like it's pretty powerful, but also we have to remember that it's amplified and it's in Aries. So Aries, you know, I really admire all the go-getter, you know, do it themselves energy fire of Aries. They're the first sign of the zodiac. However, you know, we all have our, you know, our light qualities and our shadow qualities. And the not so great part is the impulsiveness of Aries, where they don't think things through and they just do it. And then they're like, oh, fuck, I probably should have thought about that, or should, you know, but the words have already left their mouth, right? The ship's already left the port, right? Like, you know, so be really mindful in this energy and in these, you know, next 24 to 48 hours. And you may have people around you that will say or do things that are really fucked up. But, you know, and whenever you watch this, it's timeless. But, you know, and maybe you're going through that right now. But depending on where the energy is, remember that we're at the end, right? Like, we're like, you know how they say everything has to get worse before it gets better, or you have to hit rock bottom before you can build back up. We're at rock bottom right now. Humanity is at rock bottom. We are in the, like, you know, who in the world wants to relive World War II? Nobody, right? So we're a co-collective on the planet that is pulling and taking our power back. And they want you to remember that. They want you to remember your divinity. They want you to remember how much power you truly have and that you come from the cosmos. You come from the stars. Lean into the divine feminine, which is 13 is the representation of that. Why do you think they made 13 unlucky? Why do you think they made it? There are literally buildings that don't have a 13th floor because they were so superstitious. And now we find out in cultures that have dated for thousands of years before Christianity and all that, right? That the number 13 is the number of the divine feminine. When you add it together, it's the number 4. 4 is about a strong foundation. And Spirit is urging you to build that strong foundation. And maybe for some of you, you're still in the shadow. That's why they had me, you know, do the lighting this way. You're still in the shadow, and that's okay. You can still thrive in the shadow. Remember that. Remember when Glinda says, you know, go away, you have no power here. Go away before a house falls on you too, you know, kind of thing. Right? Well, that's what we have to say. You don't control my power. You cannot take my power. Spirit's saying, remember that. You're all right, kid. You got this. All right, let's see what your card is. Oh, it's upside down. Meal plan. Meal plan. Sorry, it's like it doesn't want to go into focus. Is that number 9? Let me put my glasses on. I think it's a 9, but I just want to confirm. Yeah, it's a number 9. We just talked about 9. Wow, that's really powerful. That's really powerful. Okay. So I feel like, you know, in some of these, let's break up some energy. Watch your ears. Some of you, it's a big time to change your meal. It's your meals, like it's time to change them. I recently came across a really powerful light worker, and I was watching them eating certain foods, and I rarely do this, but I was like, dude, I was like, how do I say this? I was like, but I'm like, you got to change that, you know? And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's just what I got. I'm like, I don't want to tell you whatever. I'm like, you got to do what you got to do. I'm like, but you know, Spirit's getting very serious about what we're putting in and on our bodies, because our bodies are holy, our bodies are sacred, it is our temple, it houses our soul, And they don't want us to forget that or neglect it. It needs us. It needs us. And I don't know why, but this honey calcite is really, so maybe some of you need to work with honey calcite. It's really powerful. And you can research it on your own. There might be some scrying in here. It's interesting. It's like it almost doesn't even want to go. Don't mind my nails. I just, I'm giving myself a manicure in the next few days, but I have so much work to do over these next few days that it would be fruitless. Anyway, work with honey calcite. If you can afford to do so, I highly suggest that you do, okay? And if not, just call in the energy. You know, just research honey calcite, spiritual meaning. And then when you're in your meditative prayers, just, you know, ask the honey calcite to come in and give you the energy. You know, it's just more powerful, you know, if you have it in your hand. That's all, right? Because we've given it that power. Anyway, I'm feeling that we need to pull. Oh, wow. We got a few. So let's see. They want me to start with this one first. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So for some of you, so I'm going to show you the cards. Okay. And this is right in front of self-care here. I don't know where you want me to put it. Okay. And then I'm wondering if it's because it was connected. Okay, it's not. So for those of you who were drawn to reading 2, go check out reading 2. There was a lot of messages in this card, okay? So, but they were really connected. So I thought there were 2 cards in reading 2. So I thought it was that, but it's not. So that's even more powerful. Okay, so we are pulling number 8, manifest strength. Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty serious right now, you guys. Like, I'm getting this vibe from spirit that maybe you've like really gone off course with your diet and your self-care routine, and spirit's like, you know, it's like they want me to put the candle on it, right, to illuminate it. They're like, you are in charge of your own destiny. I'm hearing from spirit. Remember that. Take control. I had something happen recently where I was like, oh, well, you know, this and that, and I can't do this and that, and I can't do this and that. And then all of a sudden I did a little more research and I realized, oh, well, I guess I could, or, oh, that's kind of cool. Or, and then I started to lean my energies towards wanting to do it instead of not wanting to do it, and not putting any roadblocks in my way, instead moving the roadblocks out of my way. Now, sometimes there is a real roadblock, right? Like, I get it. You can't move forward because there's something there. But I'm hearing then when it feels like that, that means that wherever you are, that's where you're meant to be in the process of something. Sometimes we're just in the waiting room. Have you ever heard that term? Seriously, sometimes we're just in the waiting room of life. And when we're in the waiting room of life, it can feel stagnant and it can feel stale and uncomfortable. And spirit's like, yes, but it's in the discomfort that we really gain our knowledge, our strength, our love for self. It's in the uncomfortable. So if you're like, I can't do this today, blah, blah, take that vocabulary out, take the negative out, and say, thank you, Spirit, for guiding and helping me to manifest the strength that I need to go for that walk, to put that donut down, you know? You want donuts? Make donuts from scratch. Learn how, find out what the healthiest way. People would be surprised. I mean, it's the little things. I actually made candy last night. I was like, man, I was really craving chocolate, like really hardcore. I was craving chocolate. So I remembered watching this shorts video of, I was like, oh, I'm like, I do that all the time. I never thought of doing it this way. And before I knew it, last night I was having these salted almond, you know, dipped in chocolate that I made from scratch. And I used chocolate and maca powders and agave. And I mixed it together, and I took some salted almonds and I stirred it up. Well, I made you got to make the chocolate sauce first, but and I just kept stirring it and stirring it and stirring it and stirring it, till it came out to, it was like liquid, chocolate, but it was thick enough that I knew if I put it in the freezer, it would, be like bark. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was so good. So right before I put it in the freezer, I took the salted almonds and I stirred it in, and then I put it in the freezer. And I actually kind of forgot about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, my thing. And I went to eat it. I was like, holy shit, this is so good. And the maca is really good for you. And it really brought out the flavor, just like all the flavors together. But that's what they want you to see, is that you can still have the foods that you want. You can still, do certain exercises, but you may have to change the way you do them. Like, I love jumping rope, but right now I know that my ankles and my knees are not strong enough for that yet. But once my core is strong and my ankles are strong again, I could jump rope. But we have to start somewhere, and that's what I'm getting from Spirit. Don't wait until the end of the year. You can still go to festivities. In fact, I'm hearing, like, if you're watching this in real time, it's October 6, 2025. So, we're going into, no matter where you live on the planet, there's a lot of holidays that will be taking place. We call it the holiday season. It's really nice. It's like the end of the year. Even if you're in the Southern Hemisphere and you're going into spring and summer, it's a Gregorian calendar. It's an energy. We're getting to the end of something and the beginning of something else. And I feel like they're saying, instead of just throwing it away and being like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to do whatever. They're like, no, what if you start now? What if you start now? Start teaching yourself while you still have the energy, because when January comes around, you'll already know how to make that bread a certain way. You'll already know how to, again, leave it to my birthday sister, Taylor Swift, with her obsession with baking. Now, obviously that was out forever before she got obsessed with it. But even people were saying, like, it feels like it even got even more heightened. And like, people were giving her bread, like when she was going to things, and like naming them after her songs and like interviews and stuff. These interviewers were giving her gifts, and it was really cute. And it was really funny. It was really clever. And I love that people are gifting each other food. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, hey, like, let me make you something. Let me bake you something. And what other better place to start than with yourself? So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is start a new self-care journey. And if it is in your means to do so, and again, just manifest it to happen, it's time to get a massage. A nice, long massage. You deserve it. You may be able to do a trade with somebody. Do you know somebody who does massage, or know somebody who knows somebody? Especially in the spiritual community, which obviously you're here, so you are. I remember when I first joined my very first big spiritual community, and it was amazing how many people took care of me and, did gifts, like did all these wonderful things for me. And massage was one of those things that I just didn't take as serious, even though I spoke about it in the other readings. So if you're drawn to reading 1 or 2, definitely reading 2, we spoke about it. Go there. But it did make a huge impact on my life, and it gives you a nice little reset. But also having the foods in place, invest in a juicer. It doesn't have to be the best juicer on the planet. Just find one that's like, mid-range maybe, and get a juicer. Grow your own food. Even if you're living indoors in the winter, if you've got a window that gets sun, then put a table there, put something, you know what I mean? Like, do something different, because that's what I'm getting from Spirit, right? They're saying, you're all right, kid. Like, you just have to, like, you're almost there, and I always feel like the last readings are more for like, kind of like our what do we call them? Our all-stars, people who are really doing the work. Although maybe you just found yourself here today, and you've been doing the work, but in a different way. But anyway, I'm just saying, because I did reading 1 and I did reading 2 and reading 3. So I kind of feel like this is like a culmination of it all. And it really just boils down to self-care. And that's why they had me do the one reading about what our soul needs to release. And then the next reading of what do we need to take back. And then I feel like this is like the last thing. So this might have come up in some of the other readings, but I do feel like they're tied together, these 3 readings. There'll be links in the description box, so check them out. But I feel like that might be it. I feel like, because I feel like it's, oh, I said that, and then, oh, yep, because this was in reading 2 as well. So whether it's yoga, massage, working out, eating healthy, it's time for you taking your power back is taking your health back. This is how you're going to take your power back, by taking your health back. And for some of you, I feel like you used to take really good care of yourselves, but like, you know, that's okay. Remember, I just got this download for myself, so I'm going to share it with you. We've been on a really long journey, you guys, and we've been in a lot of shadow and the dark night of the soul. And now it's like the come out wherever you are, right? Because once the Wicked Witch leaves, she's like, it's okay. You can come back out now. Everything's okay. But we've been in this like very like fight or flight stage. A lot of us have been in this fight or flight stage energy of the collective from birth. And now it's like we have to, that's the last part of us that really needs to go. And we realize that how we stop that from happening, how we stop that 3rd dimensional energy from perpetuating any longer or any further in the growth process of humanity, is to recognize and understand that that's not working for us. Living in a fear bubble, living in a, you know, a freeze state, or, you know, like, I don't know what to do, so I'll do nothing, right? There's a free state energy of not doing anything, which is blocking your flow. And then there's like you're in the waiting room, and only you know where you're at in that. But if you're in the waiting room, either way, you know, I think pulling yourself out of the free state will be using this energy of being in the waiting room. So while you're in the waiting room, go to yoga, take care of yourself, and all of this stuff, even the massage is free, right? Meaning like you can massage yourself, and you'd be surprised just massaging your own hands, going on, you know, YouTube University and looking up like how to massage your own hands, and finding like pressure points. You can do things to relieve that energy if like that's not in your wheelhouse right now, right? If jumping rope, like I said, like my body's not in shape for that right now. It was over the summer. I was like busting ass on this property, and then it started to rain, you know, and now it's like getting to that point where I'll probably only do the lawn, you know, like maybe one more time before the end of the year, you know. So I haven't been working out as much. I haven't been working on the house because I knew we were about to do another remodel. So I haven't been walking, right? And then I got hurt because I was overdoing it. And, you know, Spirit always shows us, we just need to listen. You know, they bring the signs, they show us what we need to do. They're like, follow the breadcrumbs, but it's going to be different for all of us. So for you guys, I'm hearing this is your self-care moment. You're all right, kid. You're just fine. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's been coming up in the readings as well. And if you are in the shadow, ask yourself, you know, what can you teach me? What are you still trying to show me, Spirit? Ask your higher self. What are you still trying to show me? What are you still trying to teach me? What am I not hearing? What am I not connecting with? Oh, look at this. Read a book, right? Sometimes it's as simple as reading a book. Number 10, finished. 10's about completion, right? Getting in your head and just being in your own world, being in your happy place, in your fantasy world. And for some of you, you know, it's going to be, you're not going to go to those parties anymore. You're not going to do, and you're not even going to want to, because you'd rather be in your own world and your own self-love journey, you know, taking good care of yourself. Just be mindful if you're doing things like yoga, you know, that, sorry if that was loud. Just remember to take it really slow, especially if you haven't worked out for a while. That's really important, you know, because if your body's not used to it, you can hurt yourself really quickly. And let me tell you from personal experience, that's what happened to me recently, because my little go-getter was like, okay, well, let me do this, let me do this, let me do this, let me do this. And I'm grateful I got things done, but we are in the harvest energy, but we're also winding down. So allow your mind, body, and soul to catch up with you. And if you get these things going now, then it'll be a lot easier to say no to certain foods that you're like, you know, you may love your, you know, Grandma Bessie's homemade pudding, but you know she's using, you know, gelatin made from horse hooves, and you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of shit. And if she gets offended, just say, I'm a vegan. They're like, it's pudding. It's like, did you put gelatin in there? Do you know where the gelatin comes from? It's like, and if they don't, I mean, that's where I started to really pull away from my friends and family, because they're like, oh my God, just fucking eat it. Or my mom would be like, just eat it. Don't upset them, you know, whatever. Like, you're a guest in their house. I'm like, so I should eat something that I don't want to eat, and that something's against something I believe in because I should make her happy? I'm like, that's asinine. Like, I couldn't wrap my mind around that. So just remember that it's okay to be alone. I remember some of the first times I ever spent the holidays without my family. It was very heartbreaking. I cried the whole time. It was so fucking weird. I was like, this is weird. I'm like, I've never not spent a Christmas with my family. And because my birthday's in December, I was 23 when I moved to LA, and just with my job and the way things were going financially, even though my family offered to pay for me to go home, I was like, no, I'm going to stay, and I was going to make more money. And long story short, looking back on it, I know why. Because I needed to have that break, and they needed me not to be there to see what Christmas is like when I'm not there, right? Like the real George Bailey moment, right? Where I'm like, I can't be there. And I remember, like, you know, they were 2 hours ahead. And so my mom's like, well, we're going to call you at a certain time. And this was before, you know, we had cell phones and all that. So I mean, my family was so massive, and it was cute, you know. That's why I started to cry, because they're all like, Merry Christmas. They were all like, each person got on to talk to me. Every single person. I was on the phone forever. And then when I was getting off the phone, my mom had gathered up like everybody together, and they were all like, you know, we love you, Merry Christmas. And I started bawling, you know, and I was just like, and I felt like that scene in Scrooge where like the taxi driver, the mean one, is like bringing him back, and, you know, the ghost of Christmas past. And, you know, he's like, oh, I don't cry, I don't blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, everybody says that until I take him back. And then it's Niagara Falls. And he's like, yeah, well, not me. I'm tough and blah, blah, blah. And so he brings him back, and you see, you know, the dad, you know, treating him poorly as a little boy at Christmas. And then you look over and you see him crying, and he goes, Niagara Falls. He's like, right? He's like, because we all have that inner child in us that wants to be accepted, wants to be loved, wants to be a part of something. I was a part of something. I was just a part of something different that year. It was a very different holiday. And then it got easier. Then I started to, you know, have dinner parties at my house. Once I had my own place, I used to call them, you know, the land of misfit toys, right? Like when people didn't go home for Thanksgiving or Christmas, I would have people over at my house. We always had at least 7 or 8 people. Then it got to the point where people didn't even want to go home for the holidays. They're like, dude, I'd rather go to your house. It's so much more fun, you know, because they realized they would rather be with their people than go home to just go home. Your home is you. Your home is where your heart is. And maybe that's why they wanted you to hear this message. You have a cornucopia of things around you. There are food banks everywhere. People want to help. People are helping. People are leaving their countries and going to other countries to fight. We are one. We are together. And this is the most powerful time that Earth has ever seen. And I'm so proud of us as a species, and also as us, you and I, those of us on this reading, the light workers, the starseeds, like, you know, we are in this ascension right now because of us. So thank you. And I want to thank all of our guides. I want to thank you, thank me, thank our guides, and all those who came here today. I always thank them when I close the portal, but I felt like I wanted to say another thank you, because I am getting this like very like cornucopia vibe, like over here of the food. But also they're saying like maybe on Thanksgiving, or I call it Gratitude Day because I'm a vegan. And I'm always like, you know, my mom used to have this sign up on her, she loved to decorate for the holidays. And she had this sign up in her window. It was this big turkey. It was so cute. And the turkey was holding up a sign that said, maybe this year buy a ham. Poor piggies, but you know what I mean? It was really funny. But it's not funny. I don't want them to die. I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucked up, really. Like, poor animals, right? Like, they're brought to the slaughter for, it's like, why does it have to be that way? Why can't you just gather with, you know, what you know, why do we have to kill things? But that's just me. If you eat animals, that's up to you. I'm not shaming you, but that's just me personally. One of my dearest friends I've ever had on planet Earth was a turkey named Rusty. And, after becoming friends with Rusty, I don't think I'll ever be able to eat turkey again. I mean, I haven't, and I don't think I ever will, but, you know, and same with chickens. I was the guardian of 35 chickens, and like one of my best friends, his name was Feet, and he followed me around like a dog. We were like super best friends, and he had a little limp, a little runt, and I called him Feet because when he would run, he kind of reminded me of like the little penguin from Feet. He did like this little waddle. That was the cutest thing, right? And I'm like, how could anyone eat you? I don't understand. Now, mind you, I have also worked with animals that you're like, is there anything on at home? You know what I mean? Like, is there anybody in there? So, you know, I do know that animals are there to help others too. Some avatars need meat. But anyway, I feel in my experience, most light workers don't. But I have met shamans that, you know, hunt their own animals, and they use them tip to tail, inside and out, like the whole thing, and they honor them and all that stuff. So it's, you know, it's between you and spirit. But anyway, I'm just getting this vibe that, you know, by the time that comes around, you'll have something in place where you can still, right? Like, did you ever hear that term, work hard, play hard? It's like, you can still work on your spirit and work on all that, but like still have fun, eat the things you want to eat, but, you know, find out now we're finding more and more restaurants and bakeries, and, you know, they're very, very transparent about what their ingredients are, instead of these companies that are putting these big names on them because they don't want you to know what it really is. They're like, oh, you don't need to know. It's okay. The scientists say it's okay. The FDA says it's okay, you know, whatever country you're in, but I'm in America, right? And it's like, oh, it's okay. No, even organic, the organic labels are kind of a joke too. You know, so find out if you can, like, eat as local as possible. Find out like what they're using to grow their things, what they're feeding their animals, you know, because whatever they're putting into that is going into you. So people are like, yeah, of course I put Miracle-Gro on my tomatoes. Have you seen them? I'm like, yeah. So you literally are voluntarily poisoning yourself so you can have bigger tomatoes. Just let the tomato be what it is and let it flourish, you know? This is this false matrix that they really want us to get out of. And they want you to get very real about every single day. Make an effort every day moving forward. And the more you do it, it takes at least 30 days minimum to do something every day to make it habit. And that is what they're saying. Now, you may fall back during that time, and that's okay. But you got to keep up with the habit. Because by the 30th day, trust me, I know that I've done this before where, you know, when I had to stop eating certain foods or whatever, and by the time you get to that, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to have that thing again. I'm going to give myself a treat. You don't like it as much anymore. You can taste the extra non-essential sugar. Like, why? You don't need that much fucking sugar. Sugar's an addictive agent. You know, coffee is good for you in certain doses. It's not meant to like chug down multiple cups of coffee every day just because it's good for you. Everything in moderation. So moving forward, that's what I'm getting from them. And I do feel like there's at least one more card that wants to come through before we walk out of here. But they're so proud of you, and they want you to know that they're proud of you and you're doing the work. This is just the last part that's hard. The discipline. It's the discipline, you know? That's why they're saying, you're all right, kid. Like, right? Like and they want, okay, that's what they're saying. So every time 15211, which is also the number 10. So they're like, you're almost there. Like, you're so fucking close right now that once you start putting these things into practice, it's just going to feel like it's just going to be natural. And you're going to be so glad that you did, because you're doing that for yourself. Make art. Oh, yes. Which is number 41, which is also, when you add that together, number 5. Some of you might only be halfway there. But these feel like angel wings to me. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it feels like angel wings to me. So here you are, you know, you've got this plethora of things to do, to work on when you're like, I don't know what to do this winter when I'm stuck inside. They're like, oh, yes, you do. Learn how to cook better for yourself. Learn how to bake, you know. Now, you don't have to do every single solitary thing. Recently, I've been making this tomato soup, and I'm still working on it. I've been working on it for over a month. I finally ate some, made a video, but then the secret ingredient, it's the first time I did it from scratch, like the tomatoes, everything, except for, normally I would have done it from scratch, from water, like full scratch. I was really excited to do it from full scratch, but I kept seeing these things for these homemade tomato soups that they use chicken broth, and our local store was having a huge clearance on soups, you know, from the summer, whatever. Now they're ready for fall, and these these soups that are normally, you know, $2 or $3 a box, these organic vegan, they call them vegan chicken, no chicken stock or whatever, they were like 50 cents a piece. So I bought, you know, a shitload of them, and they told me to put in the tomato soup. And I was like, no, I really want to make it from scratch. Like, I really want to try it. They're like, you can make one from scratch. You're like, but really, you're going to really like this. Oh my gosh. It brought it to another level. I've made tomato soup from scratch before, but with canned tomatoes. But this was the first time I actually got the tomatoes, because I was so blessed to get this huge like gift of tomatoes from one of my dear friend couples who's a sea basket farm. I always tell you guys about them. And they just sent me another bushel with another bushel of mugwort. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I've got I'm like, okay, I get it. I see what you want me to do. But so the next one, I'm going to make it from scratch. But they really wanted me to do this one this way. And I'm telling you, sometimes you do have to take in a little bit of something, but it's been really cool. And watching it and seeing the tomatoes break down every day. I cook it from anywhere from a half an hour to an hour. I just cook it every single day. And because it's vegan, I can leave it on the stove. It's not going to go bad. It's not going to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't live in a hot climate. It stays at a nice temperature here during the day. Oh, no, look down is 155.05. So definitely change and transformation is on the way for you. And that's what they were saying, like for me as well, that, you know, getting to watch something turn into something, and then after a month I get to take a bite of it and I'm like, holy fucking shit, like it was so good. It was so good. And adding basil and adding garlic and adding, you know what I mean, just like adding liquid aminos and nutritional yeast and water, and you know, just watching it come into this most delicious, most beautiful soup. There's something that brings a lot of pride with that. So, you know, if you always check out your grocery stores, I feel like they had me bring up the food too, is not just food banks, but a lot of the grocery stores have half off, or like they have a clearance section where they have to get rid of it. So, you know, go look for, when you see things where you're like, oh, that's looking pretty rough, but could it be made into a soup? So you get it for half the price and you can make yourself, you know, something delicious. Spirit called me to get lemons and ginger, and now I'm going to be making like this tincture that I can, you know, have for healing, or I can put it into medicinal for a tea. It's all about coming back to earth and connecting with Gaia and ourselves. And what better time than now during this full moon energy, when we can use all this beautiful, happy energy of the Aries to take action, right? Use the earth energy of Virgo and the air energy of Libra to ignite the fire within, right? That's why they're bringing up these, like being creative, doing things, but also amethyst is very healing. And it could be for some of you, it's meant to work with some healing crystals. But when you go into your imagination, it makes you want to create more. When you are doing exercise, it makes you want to eat better. I'm telling you. And you're going to have days where you're going to want to be schlumpy and lay on the couch and watch movies. That's fine. But make sure that the food that you have in the house is either an easy snack that you've already made that maybe is in the fridge or the freezer, or something you've canned, or you know, it's okay to get a bag of chips sometimes, but just make sure that you know like who's making it. I love these small batch companies. There are so many good ones. Even kettle chips, they're like a nationwide chip. They're not really organic, but they're non-GMO and they don't use pesticides, and you know what I mean? Like they don't have a full organic label. But when kettle chips first started, you know, they were one of the first pioneers to make chips that weren't made with ingredients you didn't understand. So, but there are also a lot of other companies all over the planet. Late July makes some of the best corn chips. And, you know, if you're going to get processed, is what I'm saying. It's okay to get processed sometimes. It's okay to get takeout. Just again, you know what you're coming from. Every so often, I still get a Taylor Farm salad. They're not organic. I'm sure they're probably really GMO, you know, but every so often Spirit will have me get one. And I don't feel sick from it. My body can handle it, and it kind of like goes in and out. Sometimes I think they have me eat stuff like that just to kind of keep me still in the third dimensional energy of compassion and understanding. I don't know how to explain that, but anyway, do we have any more messages? Oh, see how that truck went by? They're like, no, we're going to ring a bell. So let's release and let go of the energy that no longer serves us. It's time for self-care, my beautiful, beautiful friends. my star family. It's time to release and let go. And also make sure that you're smudging your areas, you're clearing your areas, because you can do all these healthy things. But if you're not doing, you know, you got to do it. It's part of it. I can't wait to work more with, you know, this is rosemary. But there are so many things out there that are good for smudging, protecting. You know, one of the best ones is actually lavender sticks, and lavender, just lavender in general, like boiling lavender in water is really good. It takes out the impurities in the air. Same with rosemary. Some of these, you know, just burning it, yeah, it gets a little smoky, but it literally like takes the impurities out of the air. Rosemary is one of those too. Maybe boil some fresh rosemary, and you can get that at the store if you don't have rosemary bushes nearby, or you don't know anybody who has any, or they've gone to seed or whatever. Some rosemaries go all year round. It just depends on where you live. At least I believe so, because my friends live in the Pacific Northwest and their rosemary bush seem to be going all year round. So, but maybe it depends on where you live. But anyway, rosemary is really, really good for so many reasons, but that's another one. So you can take some lavender and rosemary and boil a big pot in your kitchen, and it'll go and take away all the impurities in the air, especially if you're anybody who's in an apartment building, because you don't really know what's in the walls, you know, like mold and things like that. So sometimes it's good to put it in the fan or in the vents, especially if they're vents that are like, you know, going back into the duct system. Okay, I feel like that's it. Let me see, Spirit. Do we have any more messages? Any more cards? Because, there it is. Okay. All right, Spirit. Do we want to pull any more cards? Do we have any more messages for reading 3 at this time? Nope. Blessed full moon in Aries, and ride the wave of the high vibration of the energies that we spoke of, right? Say thank you and give thanks to Lilith. Do something special for Lilith this full moon, super moon in Aries. Maybe go and howl at the moon. This is what they call the harvest moon. We are in harvest season. So if you can, even go harvest something in your garden or in the neighborhood. Maybe a local park has rosemary. They're not going to miss a few twigs if you go by there and take a few off. I'm pretty sure you'll be okay. Just thank Spirit. Bring some nuts or something and leave that. Whenever I take something, I try to leave something behind. And maybe that's what would be good for you too, in terms of like the mental energy around this new self-care, self-healing journey. All right, you guys, until next time. Take really good care of yourselves and each other. All of my information is in the description box. If you'd like to work with me or contribute to the work on this channel, remember that prayer is free. It's all about the exchange of energy. And don't forget about those other readings and the songs that are in the description box. Follow the breadcrumbs to more information that you're needing. And for some of you, you may have been pulled to watch more than one reading on one of the other readings. I feel like now's the time to go back and look at it. I feel like that's at least for one person. And if you're drawn to the readings on this reading, that's awesome. But if not, don't make something your story that's not your story. I love you so much. We'll see you next time. Blessed be. Aho.